Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Brighton and Hove Hope Exchange, and this is the loneliness edition. So let's talk about loneliness. Well, we've been doing these events every now and again for the past few months now, since lockdown began. And we decided, let's have a think about some of the issues that some of the people in Brighton and Hove might be facing. And loneliness came up as one that was probably more important and a greater issue now than ever, given everything that's going on. So earlier this week, just wrote in a Facebook group or two, is anyone feeling lonely? And we were absolutely overwhelmed with responses. People across the city all saying, yeah, you know what, I am. I've had this going on, that going on, and there's been so much support shared with each other. So today's event is all about those people coming together and very bravely sharing what their own personal goals, ideas, and ambitions are. And then it's down to me, you, everybody else, to offer them support to help them a bit closer to whatever it is that they want to do. So I'm going to say one thing now, because we've actually had a couple of people, unfortunately, who are a bit ill today, and maybe the heat's got to them as it has a lot of people. So if you yourself have a goal that you would like to share and get support with from the community, we want to hear from you. So if that's you, then you'll see a link that accompanies this video. You can click on that and you'll join us here in this broadcast studio, as we call it, and then we can have a chat with you. Or just leave a comment on Facebook, or get in touch with us via a private message on Facebook as well, or a comment on YouTube, and we'll be talking to you later and we'll try and get you support for your goal. So I'm here, and over in 5 ways, we've got Andy. Now, this event is all about the Wall of Ambition. So Andy, please do tell us, what is the Wall of Ambitions?
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you. And this, I'm standing in front of the Wall of Ambition. It's about 7.5 foot tall. It's wider than I can reach. And it's a place where we put up things. And the things we put up are what we call ambition calling cards, little sheets of paper, which normally we hand out to people. We allow them to write down an ambition, a task, a goal, a project, a dream, something they'd like to do, and share it with others. But it's more than that. It's also the opportunity of asking maybe for a little help. And sometimes that help can be as general as, this is what I'd like to do. I have no idea how to start. How do I actually get on with that? And everything. It's amazing the kind of responses we get. Or you could be asking for something quite specific. I need somebody with a 28cc sort of outboard motor. Do you know someone who has one that I can borrow? Something really, really specific. The whole range is absolutely fine. The intention is we take this wall out, and normally we hang out on street corners, like all good, respecting people do. And we entice people, well, actually, we just stand there, really. We sort of invite people to browse the ambitions at their own pace, read a little, maybe, if they feel so inspired, grab one of our many post-it notes. Many colors are available, and any one or loads of our colored pens, and make a few comments. Words of encouragement, tips and advice, something like a direct connection. Actually, my Uncle John has that outboard motor. He doesn't do it anymore. He doesn't go sailing or whatever it is. Let me put you in touch. Brilliant. And my personal favorite is every now and again, people spot something and think, that's actually such a good idea. I'd like to do that. Can I come along? Could we maybe do it together? You want to join a book club? Brilliant. There's a whole load of very interesting Tuacuan history book club themed groups that are very niche, but I happen to be part of one. Come and join us. That's wonderful. That's what this is. And because of this strange pathogen infection, the horrid, nasty, icky, sick thing that's going around, we have to do this through the distance of this horrible screen in front of us. Normally, we'd much rather just come and share some cupcakes or stuff with you and actually just have a nice friendly chat and allow you to browse. But now we're doing this online on the street corner of your internet, as it were. That's what this is. What did you want to add to that, Adam? Anything in particular?
No, but what I wanted to do was to say that today we're very, very privileged because we have a special companion for today's event. We have a local loneliness champion, somebody who has put everything into trying to combat loneliness, and that person is right here. Hello, Janice.
Oh, hi. Good evening. It's really lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so glad we found each other.
Absolutely. Well, we found each other because you've been watching some of these in the past, haven't you? And then you left us a little note saying, well, I'm all about loneliness. That's what I do for work and my passion. So would you mind just sharing with us, first of all, a few of the things that you do around loneliness?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'll say my name's Janice and I'm the owner and creator of the Glamour Club. And we're activists and pioneers and catalysts for change. So this came about because I travelled around Southeast Asia for 10 months and I was on my way back home, sitting at Kuala Lumpur Airport, and I was just reflecting on my fantastic trip, but remembering actually how chronically lonely I felt at times. So I've been working in mental health for 10 years and I've seen some of the statistics and around loneliness. And I just sat there and I just felt, when I get back to the UK, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something. So I bought a company off the shelf called It Sucks to Be Lonely Sometimes Limited. And off I went networking. And we are a companion service for everyone. So after about a year of doing this, I had the idea of an event on a Saturday afternoon, which had to be near a bus stop. It was easy parking, and you come and you have a fabulous time. So that is a little bit about it. Shall I tell you what the Glamour Club is as a whole, as an event?
I would love you to. Yes, please.
Okay, so the idea is that you come at noon and you leave at 3. You get served a high tea by table hosts. You are ushered in by a still walking butler and a red carpet. And our table hosts and baristas, they will usher you to your table. And the town crier will yay us in. And the mayor comes, and what happens then is we have 3 times 30 minutes live entertainment, very good, the best that we can find. And they do 3 times 30 minutes, and by that time you're served your high tea, which is all you can eat sandwiches and all you can eat cake, and all you can drink tea and coffee and squash and water. And by that time, everybody is up on the dance floor. So our target is for people who are 50 and over, but everybody is welcome. We are dementia friends, we're intergenerational, and we're entirely run by volunteers. So everyone who comes has a great time, and so do the volunteers. We have an absolute ball. And it's just captured the hearts and minds. And what my ambition is to roll this out across the whole of the UK. So every village, town and city needs a Glamour Club. So the idea is that it helps villages, towns and cities to redeem themselves. So I started this off, but once we're over in Brighton, which we've already got a couple of spots, but we're looking for the perfect venue, and all we need is 12 tables, 14 volunteers, and that'll get you started. We have all the crockery, we have all the props, we have candelabras, we have fascinators, we have bowler hats. Because we're dementia friends, we research everything really carefully because we're actually we're tackling a very serious subject, but we do it in a really good fun way, based on a lot of research, I really like the Centre for Ageing Better. We're collaborating with a lot of organisations, but the essence of ours is we have 2 mascots, Glamorous Graham and Glamorous Joanna, and they're like wombles. They go out looking for all good things that they find. We recycle everything. We're eco-friendly. So we feel like we're going back to the future. We're quintessentially British. And, you know, we charge £10. Every single bit of money that we get goes back in again. So, yeah, that's a little bit about us.
Oh, that's lovely. And can you share with us, you know, just how hard it will have hit people, the pandemic over the last 5 months, in terms of loneliness? It's kind of the forgotten issue in many ways.
Well, I think because it was 5 months ago or 6, it's like people have gone from, say, optimum mental health to mental health illness. Or if they had mental health illness, or you know, that can change, as we know, depending on circumstances and all sorts. But for me personally, everything was happening so quickly. I didn't know what to believe, what was going on. But what I was doing was talking to my mum every day, and she was one of the shielded people, and so is my dad, and they're in their 70s. And my mum and dad don't. They're not the type of people that talk about mental health in the way that we do. Yeah. They could say, oh, I feel a bit down today or whatever, but I could actually see that my mum was getting really depressed because she wasn't allowed out. So everything that she enjoyed doing was just stripped away. And also because we're an event, we had to cancel our events. But the really good thing was I got on the phone and I just set a whole day aside to call all of our people on our, on our spreadsheet who had bought tickets and, a past and the present and future for our next event. And I just spent the entire day listening to them, befriending them, talking to them, and all of them told me how unhappy, how really sad they were, how lonely they were. So I was thinking, what can I do? So I keep in touch with them in all sorts of different ways because we're all different, you know. And on my birthday, I put out a great big party. So we all got together and got our own glamour club in our front rooms. And we had DJs and open mic groups. You know, everyone was, people. But the thing was, it was really nice for the people on the open mic groups as well because they're not allowed to meet anymore. So I thought it was going to be a really awful birthday, and we do big celebrations. What we do in my family is we're very flamboyant with our heart. We might not have a lot of money at times in our lives, but what we do have is a lot to give, you know. So when I was on that birthday party, it was just such a joy. It really was, because we all needed it so badly, because that was June 21st. And it's those little things that we keep doing for each other. As we've been allowed out, my mum and dad are like different people, you know.
Oh, wow.
They went right under, but we had family quizzes, you know, which weren't that good, but we were all really excited because we had something to look forward to. So loneliness, as we know, Adam, is the cause of so many unnecessary deaths in our society. And this is why I sat and I knew I had to do something about it, because, you know, I see this buzzwords going around, you know. We used to call them cliches. I'm not sure if they're still called that, you know, like not on my watch, not on my patch, no, you know, and that's how I feel, you know. So I really want help, and I've got the ambition that what we do is we pick people up and we bring them with us, you know. That might just be for a day. They might want to do you know, a little digital project for us or something like that, or they might just want to come to the event. You know, they might just want to help us set up, because they're not really into being on the front line of anything like that. But what we're doing in the background is we're keeping our volunteers all going, because we've got this group that we you know, we've set up a group where we can all support each other, you know, and we do in all sorts of different ways. And as soon as we were allowed out again, you know, social distance, 2 meters in a garden, somebody came and visited me and went away with something small to do, you know, that we could offer. And this is just what we're doing, Adam. Yeah.
It's so wonderful, and thank you so much for bringing glamour to this evening. We've not had too much glamour before, so we appreciate that. It's time to go to Nina now, who's our first participant. And if it's okay with you, Janice, we're going to keep on popping back to you because you're somebody who's well networked. You know what you're talking about when it comes to loneliness as well. So if there's anything that you can share with our participants this evening, we and they will be grateful for it as well. So we'll catch up with you just a little later on.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Thanks, Janice.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Nina. Hello, Nina, our first participant this evening. Coming
Hello.
to share what your goal, idea, or ambition is. First of all, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. And yourself?
Yes, good. Trying to keep cool as we all are. But tell me then, what is your goal that you've got at the moment?
So I think when we briefly spoke before, I was saying that I do mostly work for myself, and I'm used to do hypnotherapy and talking therapies. And with the current situation with the corona, I've been enabled to do face-to-face consultations with my clients, and I've been trying or forced a little bit to move into online consultation, because I can't really do the face-to-face because I'm in the vulnerable category, so it's difficult for me to see people face-to-face. So I guess my goal at the moment is to really work towards transferring my business into an online business. I'm quite confident in the service I provide, but I've never really been that good in marketing. And I think that's where really I would need a bit of input, I guess, from other people to kind of, learn how to kind of do that transition, I guess.
Yeah. So do you already have a website and that kind of thing? What is it exactly that you need to take online?
So I've been trying to work on my website and try to do it myself, which has been a little bit more challenging than I thought it would be, because I'm not really that good with the SEO or all of these kind of things. I guess also because I had a little bit this idea when I was, I wanted to kind of move my business a little bit into the corporate side of it. I wanted to offer workshops and things to businesses. And then at the moment, I'm kind of really struggling to see how I would be really able to do that over the internet, and how to kind of market it to be attractive to businesses, but do it online and not necessarily face-to-face, if that makes sense. So yeah. I'm struggling a little bit, kind of thinking maybe I need to change my idea a little bit, because I won't be really able to do face-to-face for quite a while. So I just have quite a lot of, it's a bit mixed in my head, I guess, how I can input the vision I had before Corona with the new situation at the moment.
Yeah, and you're definitely not alone in that. So if you were to ask the people watching this now and the people that will go on to watch this over the next week or so outright what it is that you need help with, or how they could help you, what would you say to them?
All right, so I guess maybe help with the marketing side of it. How do you kind of market yourself when you are just an online service, if that makes sense? Because I rely a lot on recommendation from other people, but those are people that I have met in person before, and then they would send me recommendation. They will recommend me to other people. But when you're starting and you haven't got a foot into or a contact into a business, how do you reach those people with just being online, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. So we've already had a comment in here from Julia. And so what Julia's done here is she's just left a comment on Facebook. It's that easy. So underneath the video you're watching now, if you're on the Ambigo page, then just leave a comment and it will appear and we can share it with Nina and the future participants, just like this. So Julia said, grassroots suicide prevention are experienced in this area, offering workshops, etc. to businesses. They might be able to offer advice. So that's one to note down. Thank you very much, Julia.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about you yourself in terms of since COVID struck. I mean, we've had a quick chat about it already, how it's impacted you and your levels of motivation and those kinds of things regarding this.
I think it has been a little bit difficult because I'm quite a sociable person and I've been kind of forced to be shielding and stay at home most of the time. And so it has been a little bit difficult to, deal with some aspects of the loneliness. And I live on my own. So it has been a little bit difficult not being able to socialize with other people. And as a result of that, you kind of get into this, I guess, samey routine, repeating itself. The days are getting a bit boring, are very similar. And then this has quite a negative impact on the motivation and the productivity. I've noticed I'm somebody that is usually quite focused and driven, but I think the fact that I've been really with me, myself, and I most of the time has been quite difficult.
And where are you at the moment, would you say?
Well, I think with the easing of the easing of the shielding, I've been able to have a social bubble, and I've been able to go out and maybe meet a couple of my friends outside. So that has really had a positive impact, and that's why I kind of feel that would be the good time to kind of refocus my energy into my business. And I need to make some long-term goals because obviously the corona is not really going anywhere, at least until we have a vaccine. So I need to, think into the long term and still being able to work, do what I like, but in a different way, hence the kind of trying to do the transition with an online service.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, how the increased social interactions you've been able to have in the most recent times has actually been able to fuel you to concentrate more on the business and all of the stuff that we need to do to keep ourselves going.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you don't really get it until you miss it, if that makes sense. You kind of like, I do, something really simple like being able to hug people and being close physically to people makes a very big difference.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I had to go 3.5 months without literally touching anybody in lockdown on my own. And you don't, just like you say, you don't realize how much you miss it until you don't have it.
I didn't realize you were shielding as well.
Well, I wasn't shielding. It was just that I happened to be in lockdown in a house on my own.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to go out, and do the things we were allowed to do. But yeah, just through I didn't have a bubble, until it was possible to do that. So I didn't have any housemates or anything like that. But anyway, it's not about me, it's about you. So Andy's ready now. So I'm going to cross over to Andy, or hand you over to Andy, who's been scribing all of this. So he's been writing down what your goal is and what you need help with. So let's see what he's written for you.
Hello, Nina.
Hello.
Hi. I love the way that you're sort of squinting at the scroll that I put up there. But don't worry, let me talk you through it. My role this evening, is to do my very best to try and capture your ambition on what we call an ambition calling card. Eventually, ultimately, this is going to go prime central place on the wall of ambitions, where we'll let lots of people browse it and maybe get inspired. They'll certainly show interest in what you're doing, and they may be able to give some tips and comments and so on, and maybe even come along with you on your journey. So there we go. That's what I want to do. I want to talk this through with you, check with you that I've understood what you've said and that I haven't missed or misunderstood anything. Are you okay for me to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Well, here we go. Nina, I've written that you want to transfer your therapy business into an offer made online. You're providing hypnosis and talking therapies. That's what I've heard you say.
Yes.
And you're also, a little later on in your conversation with my colleague Adam, you talked about there's a second ambition in there of opening the service up to help the corporate sector, the business environment, which is a different type of skills, a different type of conversation, but it's a nice area to grow into if you can. So there are two parts of the ambition in there. One is obviously the responses you've had to shut down your face-to-face work and move face-to-computer work. And also the ongoing thing about letting people know that that's there. And of course, the second ambition of widening and changing the client group so that you're tackling different sort of areas. We'll get into that. But when it comes to the help that you've asked for, I do like general questions like, how do I start? And there's an essence of that in what you're saying. So how to work online? Now, I think everyone who's watching will understand that there is a certain direct face-to-face thing that you do, and that presumably is done through some kind of communication software like Zoom, like Skype, like Messenger or whatever, the whole range of there. Is that a part of your area that you're not sure about? Or is it more this second thing about the marketing to a client group who live mostly on the internet? Is that the second one, or?
I think it's more the second one. So I've been able to use Zoom a little bit. I've been able to use Messenger a little bit. So I'm not too worried about the platform to use, but more, I guess, about the second point you were saying. Yes.
Yeah. So it really is letting a new group of people who are outside of the personal recommendation circle that you've been developing, who've recognized the help you can bring. And of course, that goes further, doesn't it? It's also breaking into and communicating those circles that sit in the business and the corporate areas as well. So there we go. That's what I've written up on the ambition calling card. Is that about right?
Let me just...
Did you want me to add anything to it?
No, I think that's about right. Yes.
Right. Well, hang on tight, because I'm going to swap cameras. This is always a little bit of a fun bit, because it involves, a massive amount of physical activity. No, it doesn't. It actually just involves me pressing a button or two. And here I am. I am stood in front of the grand wall of ambitions. This is our Ambigo wall of ambitions that goes traveling with us. We hang out on street corners. We go to Camptown Carnival, few freshers fairs, East Brighton cafes, stuff like that. Quite a few co-ops as well. Wonderful group, the co-ops. They do a lot of community work, and it's really nice to be working with them. And they occasionally doff us a few cupcakes and other things like that, which we offer to people. Anyway, so I'm going to grab your ambition calling card.
Yes.
I say it's the one that I've inscribed for you. And it's my privilege to be able to place it up on the wall of ambition. Now, what happens is that in real life, when we're actually there, out there on the streets or in parks or wherever with people, we stand back and we let people just browse these things. They have a read. And it's interesting what comes up for them. I mean, you are not alone in having to move from face-to-face working to online working. Here we are with Ambigo. We used to do loads and loads of real people stuff. And the fascinating thing about doing real people stuff, as you know, is we tend to listen a lot more. It tends to be a space where people can hear, be heard, feel heard. Here, this is slightly different because we're having to kind of share things out there through the screen in front of us. But what could happen is people might think, actually, I've had to do the same sort of thing. And that's where this comes in. If you've moved your business as well, and you've had to deal with a slightly different group of people who aren't part of that. Of course, and I'm sure, Nina, you're doing this as well. We did this as well. We utilized our fantastic word of mouth network to let people know that we've moved into the internet. And that was our first step in the marketing, if you like. Of course, marketing here is slightly different, but it's the same sort of principle. But beyond that, there's a whole wealth of talent out there who might know certain things. You've mentioned search engine optimization, SEO stuff, and so on. It's those sort of conversations. It's writing those stories. And of course, the people in your network might be able to provide you the kind of stories that will give you the keywords for your SEOs and blah, 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 that sort of thing. And it's being able to work from your strength outwards. And that's the little tip that I'd offer from our experience here in Ambigo. If you're watching and you've done something similar and you think you've got a top tip for Nina, then, get in touch. It'd be lovely to be able to offer not just the successes, but also the challenges you hit as well. So you can forewarn her as well. And that might be very, very interesting. We've had some wonderful dealings with some fantastic people out there who do a great deal of business support, the Good Business Club, people in BelongCon connected to various, the Wonderful Web, I think they're called. I can't quite remember. But they have tips and advice and so on. So if you guys are watching and you think you might be able to help Nina out, go on, give us a nudge. Send a message in. But it goes further than that, Nina. The whole point is, really, it's an opportunity for, well, in the first place, people to be a little bit nosy about what other people are doing, which is fine, because it helps stimulate ourselves. And as they think here, that it may be that they know some people who might actually be able to benefit. And that's fantastic, because if someone's benefiting, then they're able to give authentic word of mouth to others, and that's just, it's still worth doing. And here in Ambigo, we strongly believe that word of mouth is very, very important, even though we're doing similar sort of things that you are about letting people know through vehicles like Facebook groups and so on. Hi guys out there in the world of Facebook. And so people might be in touch to say, I know somebody who can help with that. Or there may be some people who may be in touch to say, actually, I'm doing a lot of work with search engine optimization, with promotion stuff, and I could happily come along on the journey with you, and they may well be able to get in touch. So that tends to be what happens. It's interesting that there's two levels to your ambition. There is a level here that is clearly about offering a service to people, not a problem, because it comes from a place of passion from you. It's something you want to do. There's something, your business, your heart, as it were, in that business, and so on. We often get ambitions, which we equally love, that are things like, I want to get a pet Dalmatian or whatever. It doesn't matter to us what that ambition is. It can be as wide and as varied as anything. So, Nina, as I have been talking, has anything else occurred to you? Other things, other approaches, other ways of thinking that you'd like to highlight or maybe ask for in your calling card?
I think at the moment, I think maybe, because I'm at the beginning of my journey, I think at the moment, that's what is coming to my mind. Obviously, it might evolve a little bit later, but I think at the moment it's about right.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. I'm curious about, if I may, ask you about the business, the opening up to corporate. Do you feel that you have the right message to corporate, or is that an area that you'd like to develop as well?
Well, I kind of had a bit. My idea was to offer stress management workshop within the workplace, and I also, as somebody who is an entertainer as well, I also work a lot about confidence building. And
Yes.
I wanted also to help people maybe find more confidence within their workplace, maybe with public speaking, which is a very common fear for people, to speak in public, and that might be in the way of their career advancement. So because
Right.
I did find myself being somebody who was very shy and didn't really like to speak in public, I thought I could really use my personal experience and offer a very comprehensive program for that.
That's interesting. So in that, because of what you're saying, that it's a newish area, maybe there's someone watching there who is in the corporate sector who might be able to respond to your message there, to say, well, actually, that sounds really interesting. One of the best ways of getting that message through might be through whatever. And they may have some fantastic tips about the types of web venues and locations. There may be people out there who love, for example, LinkedIn and various conversation topics that are on there about HR, about stress management, about defusing, debriefing, about, presenteeism and other stuff there that might be in the business environment. So if you're watching and you fancy getting involved in Nina's ambition, and maybe even parading your expertise as well, feel free to get in touch. Nina, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for bringing this along. It's nice to hear the ambition. It's also nice to hear that you're doing okay with the way that we've been locked down and so on, because that challenges all of us. What I think I need to do now is just let those people who are watching know how they can get in touch with us here in Ambigo. So I'm going to request my friend and colleague Adam to join us again. Because although I know, because I read the script, I actually know how you can get in touch. It's really, it's something that Adam tells us because he's so good at it. Adam, sir, how can people get in touch with us here on the show?
Well, there are quite a lot of people who are just joining us, so it's good timing. So there are 3 ways that you can get in touch. So you can simply leave a comment underneath the Facebook video that you're watching now, and leave the comment on the Ambigo page version so we can see it. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you just leave a comment there, and then it'll appear on our screens and we can bring it onto the screen. And I'll just give you an example here, because Julia's been back in touch, and she said, hey, Julia. So this is kind of around the online stuff, the marketing, the SEO and that kind of thing. She said, suggest blogging for Nina. She can offer general advice and stories and thus build online client base. So actually, yeah, building the online client base is perhaps the meaning behind that one. I'll share another couple of messages Julia's given to us, actually. She's been prolific and she's really wanted to support you, Nina. So make sure you got your pen and paper ready. But in terms of the other ways you can get in touch, you'll see a link that is around this video somewhere. If you click on that link, you'll actually appear here at the bottom of our screens, and we can bring you into the broadcast yourself. So you can actually share whatever your thoughts are, or your words of encouragement, your support, whatever it might be. Or if you prefer WhatsApp, you can send a message on that to the number at the bottom of the screen, and we'll be able to read it out to Nina or our future participants. Right, thank you so much. Now, I just wanted to share something, Nina, because we've actually collaborated in the past with something called the Good Business Club. Yeah. Now, what you do sounds very much to me as if it's not just all about profit for you. It sounds like you've got a purpose that goes beyond profit. And that's what the Good Business Club is all about. Now, our events aren't about me or Andy giving you advice at all, but this has just popped to my mind, so I thought I'd share it with you. So the Good Business Club is actually a Brighton-based network. And so it's got something like 175 members. And it's all people who either run their own businesses or they want to run their own business. And the business can be absolutely anything, as long as it has a purpose that goes beyond profit. So in that network, you may well find a lot of like-minded people there who have experience in the areas that you need support with. In turn, you could share with them some of the things that you know. For example, some of the members might not be too clear on doing public speaking or confidence building things, those kinds of things. So they're the three elements there: the grow network, amplify voice, access support. They're the three elements that really describe and define the Good Business Club the best. So that's perhaps one to look out for as well.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Yes. Yeah.
And also, just going to dip you out, Andy, for a moment, if I can, because we've got Janice, who's got a word to share with you as well. Hello, Janice.
Oh, hi, Nina. We are connected without being connected. I mean, so much of what you've said is brilliant, because when I was working in Sussex Partnership, the Mental Health Trust, I worked for the lady who brought in grassroots suicide intervention and prevention. And we work with all of the different agencies, like the Samaritans and the police, and all, to bring out the app, and this is like 10 years later, and they're so successful, and they're absolutely brilliant at what they do, So the lady who's been prolific at giving you tips, she's coming from a really good place, But I wonder, Nina, if it would be worthwhile you bartering, because I'm a member of the Institute of Leadership and Management. I got my exams in lockdown. That's one of the things I did. I thought I'll get my head down and I'll get my full membership. And one of the things that most people find very difficult is public speaking, which is why I joined a lot of networking groups. So I think if you can offer that out to people in a bartering tool, sometimes these grassroots projects and stuff, they don't have money, but we can help each other get to where we need to go. So I would actually be interested in that.
Oh, okay.
And I could help you with some marketing, just some simple stuff,
Mm-hmm.
If you like, just to get you going, I wouldn't mind doing that at all. And what you're talking about, confidence, your public speaking abilities, and your ability to be able to coach and train others, it's overcoming that fear factor, because we've all got something really good to say, haven't we? But we just think that we haven't. So what I've discovered, I'm working with an organisation in Toronto, Canada, and what they do is you take your IT problem to them, and if you're accepted onto their program, it goes down into a laboratory, and their volunteers who volunteer their expertise then will come up with the solution to your problem.
Oh,
So that, but it's finding where if you Google in anything, you'll get 1,000 things. If you're looking for an electrician, for example, everyone will just say to you, "Oh, just Google it," and you spend hours with nothing. So it's all about connections, isn't it? And I think it's all about overcoming the fear of IT. And I've been working with a lot of techie people. I started off 3 years ago with a phone, an email. I knew how to use Facebook and LinkedIn and things like that. But it's by bartering and going to some of these online forums. You might think, oh, I know most of that. But actually, every time that I've gone to one, I've come away with lots of handwritten notes of little tips. So the one that Adam's just given you is a really good one. And what what I would like to say around the IT is that we've been forced into a situation where, it might have taken lots and lots of years or decades to get us where we are now with the IT, because generations of people. What it is the UN say older people is from 50, and a lot of things happen to everybody, but particularly there's a lot of research in that area. And what they've found is you've got these people in this age saying, I don't want to know about IT. So they're decades in front of themselves without because we're living, we're living longer lives, So they're going like decades. They're choosing. But if you've got a mate who knows that you might benefit from being on this, from being IT literate or whatever. I mean, if you've got someone who can say, do you know what, I feel exactly the same, but look, because what it is we get sent emails with so much information, I don't even want to open emails anymore. And when I see one of those great big long emails, I want to sit and cry, So I think what it is about perhaps all of us standing back and not doing that to each other anymore. That would be really handy.
And that would be really nice.
Because the thing is, right, when I started work, if we had a new system, we'd have a manual, we'd have a trainer, we'd have a week-long program we'd all be sitting there really frustrated, but we'd be armed with what we needed to at least give it a go. Now we're sent a manual in an email with all sorts of links and everything, and we're expected to go off and go, oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So we need that human touch, don't we? We need that human interaction, the connections, like you say. I mean, Nina, is there anything you'd like to say in response to everything that you've heard from Janice, from Julia and Andy and everybody?
Well, first, I would like to thank everybody for their advice. I've been taking notes. So that's been very helpful. Thank you so much. And if it's something that you're interested in, obviously I would be interested to talk to you more. Outside of this show. So thank you very much for offering your support. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nina. Very much appreciated. And thank you, Janice. Likewise. So we'll come back to you a little bit later, if we can, Janice, if that's okay. And Nina, thank you. Please do keep in touch, and we can offer to write a social media post about your ambition as well, so we can try and garner some more support for you. It might take a little while because we've got a bit of a backlog. There aren't enough hours in the day, but we'll get to it if you're game for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. All right, all the best. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Lovely. Right, so we've got a couple of minutes before our next participant, who will be Susie. I've just gone to Andy, and he's turned into an Ambigo card. Woo! Hey, Andy. So I just thought we'd bring in one of the written ambitions, Andy, that we've had. Let's do a quick one because Susie's ready and waiting, so we'll go to her in a minute. But Chloe, I say it with a little bit of an accent because Chloe is from France, lives in Brighton. So what Andy's doing here is he's writing down what we call a calling card on Chloe's behalf. So Chloe has said that she's come over from France and she's aiming to be a qualified teacher in modern languages here. So she wants to get more classroom experience. So she wants to get more experience of using her skills in the classroom alongside studying to become an officially qualified teacher. So she's already doing the studies for that, but she wants to get more classroom experience in the meantime. So what would help Chloe is that she'd like to be a foreign language assistant in schools in Brighton, if possible. So I assume that means in French lessons. So her ask is, does anybody know of any schools in Brighton that have such roles? So if you know of a school in Brighton that has a role of language assistant, foreign language assistant in a school, then she'd like you to get in touch. And if you have any other ideas all you have to do is comment on Facebook if you're watching us there, on YouTube if you're over there, and we'll be able to share it with Chloe. You managed to get that one down, Andy?
I'm getting as far as working as a teaching assistant.
Now, I remember because I used to love French at school, I was a real swot, and it made all the difference actually having a native speaker there who wasn't the teacher, who was just a regular person you could chat to. And it also helped you realize why on earth you were learning it. Because when you're a kid in the UK learning a foreign language, you think, what's the point? You know, I don't even go to France or whatever. But when you actually have somebody there, you have that opportunity to communicate with them, it makes you realize, it can be a really useful tool. So that's on the wall of ambitions, Chloe. So thank you. And,
Chloe, welcome to England. I hope you have a lot of fun here. And yes, we'll get that particular ambition out there. Well, we just have. And of course, for those of you who are watching on the repeat, there it is again. And if you do know somebody or you have the right kind of connections for the kind of positioning Chloe so that she can have a chat to various teachers and maybe get picked up as a teaching assistant, there may be other suggestions as well. And as Adam said just a little earlier, this is far from getting in touch with, where are you? There you are. Adam and Andy for advice. Sure, we've knocked around a little bit. We've met loads of fantastic people and we've picked up a few tips ourselves. But the real magic, as Chloe hopefully will find out, is by sharing this with all of you out there in the city and tapping into this fantastic feeling of solidarity that we have, which is one of the reasons why I love living down here. If you have tips and advice, you know somebody, you have a few words of encouragement, you have some fantastic alternative ways that Chloe could get exactly the same result and, kind of benefit in a way that's accessible, get in touch and, kind of make those notes. Or if you just want to have a little chat in French with Chloe yourself and do a little practice there, I don't know. She might say no. She might say sling your hook, but you never know.
I don't know what French is for sling your hook, but I'd like to hear it. Let's go to Susie in a moment. I just want to remind people really what this event is all about.
Yes.
This is the loneliness event, the loneliness edition of what we call the Brighton and Hove Hope Exchange. So for those who have just joined us, I just simply put out a post on Facebook saying, is anyone feeling lonely? And a whole barrage of messages coming in. And it was really beautiful seeing all of the messages of support that were going between people making friends, people saying, actually, I feel similar myself, and offering each other all kinds of advice and tips and things. So we realized that this was a topic that was affecting a lot of people. And so it's some of the people who responded to those messages who are actually participating this evening. And so all of them will be really, really grateful for your support, because what they're doing this evening is they are sharing their personal goals, ideas, and ambitions. So if you can offer support, just leave a comment on Facebook or YouTube. That's the easiest way. And the other methods are scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Okay, thanks, Andy. We'll be back with you in a few minutes. Let's go over to Susie. Hello, Susie.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Lovely. Thanks for being there. Thanks for mastering the technology. Probably much better than I am. I'm a bit blurry, I'm aware, but you are coming through really clearly. So thank you for being there. Please tell us, what is your goal or idea that you have?
I feel like I want to get back to the real me. I've sort of lost myself, I think, somewhere along the way, and I want to get back to feeling happier, less isolated, just the person that I used to be, perhaps in a new form, but that's quite important to me at the moment, I think.
Mm-hmm. Who is the person that you used to be that you want to become again?
I used to be, well, I'm quite ADHD. I was complete party animal, complete nutter, just crazy, mega busy, maybe too busy. Maybe that's what caused me to become unwell. But I was just this whirlwind that never stopped, never took time out, never had any sort of quality me time, really. because my life was just so mega full, and now it isn't. I'm really sort of missing that. So I want to sort of try and get a balance, obviously, but I want to just try and get back to even a pale version of who I used to be.
Yeah, thanks for being so open about that. I mean, it can't be an easy thing to actually say out loud.
Yeah, it's quite difficult. Feel quite emotional. And I've got a cat that's really pestering me at the moment, so he might.
Oh, no, bring him in, bring him in.
Well, he will want. He hears voices, and every time I do a Zoom with anybody, he wants to get involved. And he's really elderly, and I've just found out he's got chronic kidney disease, so he's quite clingy at the moment. So I know that I've got to make a difficult decision in the near future, perhaps. So he's performing tonight, which is really quite annoying.
What's his name?
Leo. He's 17.
What a lovely name.
Oh, he's gone now. Right. That's good. Because I'm earlier, just when I was trying to set up, he was sort of he was pushing against the iPad, which is on the edge of a sofa. So I was just thinking, oh, this is good chaos. And the minute he hears voices, he always comes up and starts looking and being interested. Oh. So there we go. That's where I want to get back to. I also want to get back into sailing again. I used to sail competitively on a fireball dinghy, but unfortunately I haven't done that for probably about 10 years now, and I still really miss it, but I don't mind sailing, crewing something a bit bigger and getting some training in maybe. I also want to sort of travel a bit more extensively to the Far East, but I don't have a partner, so it's quite difficult to find people who can go and be as flexible as I can, because I've got lots of time on my hands now because I had to retire early, unfortunately. So that would be good to try and hook up with other people who might want to travel to. I particularly want to go to Burma. I was actually married to a guy from Burma for a few years, and we had a Burmese restaurant in London. So I am addicted to the food. I really want to explore the culture. And when I was with him, we couldn't go there because it was really impossible for him to go. So that's another goal. And I also need to get fit again because I've had COVID in March and I've got some sort of long haul issues because of it. So trying to build up very gradual pacing fitness is going to be really important in the next few months, I think, without having a sort of crash again, because that seems to be a feature of what's happened from what I've experienced and what I've researched. And I've gone on a support group on Facebook, so that is something that I think is quite a key issue to me, feeling better and less isolated and less lonely. But I've had an awful lot of loss in my life in the last 20 years. So I'm trying to deal with that by having, some support and some therapeutic intervention. But it's quite difficult sometimes. I don't have any children. I don't have any family. Got a couple of cousins, 200 miles away. But and we are reconnecting a little bit, but I think, it's quite a difficult time of life when you get to a significant age. And I want to make the most of my life. I don't want to just end up probably like my mother did, which was really quite sad and lonely and depressed. So I need to do something about it and take action, and I need to do it now.
I really like the sound of that commitment. How could people help you?
I think perhaps if anybody has any contacts who are into sailing and perhaps could offer me any opportunities for crewing. I've done some big boat stuff in the past, but I still have problems with bowline knots. I'm just I have problems with knots generally, and I shouldn't, but I've always sailed with control freak men who like to do all the sort of rigging themselves because they are control freaks. So that would be really helpful. And also, if anybody can think of solutions for me to overcome my apprehension about traveling on my own, or no small groups who go off. I'm really quite anti going on these formal sort of solo tours, even though I'm actually a host for a solo traveller tour operator.
Oh.
It's pot calling kettle here. I should be a little bit more open to that, perhaps. But that's something that maybe I'll work on in the next few months. And obviously, at the moment, travel is being severely affected, and I think I'm finding that quite difficult too, because I'm not normally around this much. I'm not generally around this much at all. I had to come back from skiing 6 weeks early because of COVID, because all the lifts closed. So that was a massive disappointment, because I had a really fantastic trip planned, and I'd only been there about 8 days when the lifts closed. So skiing is quite a big thing for me, but I've recently found out I've got to have a full knee replacement probably in the next 2 or 3 years. I'm postponing it as long as possible. So I might also need advice on that sort of thing. Because I'm apprehensive about that, because if that didn't go well and I couldn't ever go skiing again, I don't think I would cope very well at all with that, because it's an absolute passion and an obsession for me. I've been skiing since I was 17, and I've been a ski rep and a guide, and it's really a mega important part of my life. So I've made a few notes, so I'll just check I've covered them all.
Let me just bring you in this comment from Julia, who says, totally relate to what you're saying, sending you a big hug.
Oh, thank you. Don't be too nice though, because then I start to lose it and crumble.
Oh. So there will be a lot of people that relate to a lot of what you're saying. There's so much to think about and to explore, actually. Yeah, well, I know I'm wondering about how Andy's managed to capture all that. We'll find that out in a minute or so. But just one of the most immediate issues then is current health, given you had COVID back in March, you said. How has that affected your health? How are you feeling now because of it?
Well, I think I may be turning, hopefully, a little corner in the last week or two. It was really, it floored me totally. I came home with it on the last night of my journey, unexpectedly early journey home. I came back with the cough started on the last night of the journey, and then of course the rest of the symptoms developed. So it was difficult, but I've also got fibromyalgia as an underlying condition. So the GP reckons it sort of hit me harder because of that, and the recovery will take longer. But I'm incredibly impatient about it, and I'm fairly hyperactive. I don't like sitting still and resting, and I mean, even sitting here for this length of time will be difficult for me. So the chronic fatigue has been one of the worst issues that I've experienced, really. Just got absolutely zero energy and stamina, and that's just not like me. That's not how I usually am. Although, obviously, with the fibro, I have to pace myself, and I've learned that over the last 5 or 6 years. So I think trying to regain some sort of general health and fitness would be quite key at the moment, but it has to be done at a really steady, gradual pace, because if I push myself too hard, I get a crash again, because I've tried all that. So I'm trying to be gentle with myself and kind to myself, which I'm not good at doing. I'm quite feisty and quite kick myself up the backside, come on, just get on with it. But right now it's not that won't work. So I have to be a little bit more easy. So I've just started going in the sea recently, which I think has started to help. I'm not swimming a lot. I'm just gently sculling around and moving, which is probably something that I haven't done for a while. So,
well, good on you for getting out there and doing it when your body's perhaps telling you to to just shut down a bit for a while. But yeah, thanks so much for explaining all of that. I'm going to pass you over to Andy now, who's been writing all of it down. So you've kind of got one overriding ambition to return to your real self, as it were.
Yeah.
But there are so many elements to that. So let's see what Andy's written down.
Okay.
Hello, Susie.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on the show. And actually, thank you very much for bringing on an ambition that speaks to so many people. I'm nodding away thinking of people I know and reflecting on myself and recognizing a lot of the challenges you've talked in there. And it's good to bring these things to the surface. I thank you for your courage and your generosity in doing so. And it allows us to share honestly with people, which I'm going to do really rather feebly because, as you know, my job is to try and write down some sort of brief summary that can go on the wall of ambitions that acts as the kind of center point for basically this conversation, the conversation you've had with Adam, the conversation we're going to have with me, and hopefully with many of our viewers. So, yeah, this is really what this is about. That said,
your task.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
I don't envy your task.
But it's fine. Anyway, so with that said, let me go through the form of it, and it allows us to repeat some of the key elements and focus right in on anything that is particularly important from your point of view. So what I've written is that you would like to get back to, and you've used the term real me, but you did qualify that by saying, well, perhaps it's a new real me.
Yes.
And I think, as you said, you shared other things with us, and I have one or two close friends with fibromyalgia or ME and so on, and it's a different kind of pace that they've had to learn to adapt and adopt into their lives, and it's really hard to do, they've told me, because they remember being healthier. Hello, Kat. Hello, Leo.
Come on, Leo.
They remember being healthier. And of course, when we remember, it gives us a certain frustration, which I can hear when you're talking to us about how you remember being really busy, perhaps too busy, and having energy to do all of these things. And of course, when we come from a position of that's how we remember ourselves being, we get a double whammy of not just our bodies feeling weaker, and with fibromyalgia, as I understand it, you also experience quite a bit of pain. I'm sorry about that. And of course, we get that and the frustration on top as well. So it's a double whammy. So that background is good that you were able to share that with us. You were able to also share with us some of the things that becomes quite exciting, which is, knowing what the overall dream is. You've also been able to start talking about how you might address it. And going back to allows you to go back to sailing and being out there on the open seas and so on, or whatever it is that you were sailing. And also that the travel and the idea of discovering more about the Burmese culture. And you can talk to me about food all the time, by the way. So Burmese food and so on. I really do like food. So those are kind of two or three really lovely ways that there's something there that might be shared, that people might be able to help tap into, that gives you a common thing to run alongside as you learn a different pacing, and you get to know people who can accommodate the pacing that your body is requiring of you without diminishing the growing relationships, the finding new friends and so on. So when it comes to the help that you need, thank you for being so precise. It's any contacts that will get you back into sailing or crewing, notwithstanding the joy you have about not tying. I'm sure you might be able to learn that. Who knows? But there's experience behind that. And of course, some larger ships or maybe some smaller yachts and so on, it might be a nice opportunity. And that's what we're asking for. Do you know people who could do with someone else to act as a, I don't know, a crewmate or whatever the phrase is. And it's really lovely that you told us about, and I've got to admit, as a personal comment, I share this reticence about traveling alone, even though we understand that it's okay to travel alone. And in fact, we facilitate it, you particularly as a host for solo traveling. But it's easier sometimes to do that. And in a way, when you're doing that, you may well be meeting people as they come in or wherever it is, rather than taking that other thing of traveling out. And I don't know what makes the difference, but something makes the difference there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So who knows what that request might bring in? There may be people who travel alone who have some tips and advice. There may be some coaches out there who can give some really fantastic tips on how to find the right kind of traveling groups that aren't that have the right kind of boundaries for you. Who knows? Oh yes, and because you mentioned you've got an operation on your knee coming up, I've put in brackets at the bottom there that you're anticipating there may be a need for some support on the rehabilitation front. Adam and I, as we've been doing this, we've met at least 2, maybe 3 fantastic physical exercise coaches and so on. So yeah, the skill set's out there, and it'd be lovely to be making those connections. Have I managed to capture pretty much what you've been sharing with us?
I think you have, yes.
Oh, good.
Great.
In which case,
obviously very skilled.
Well, thank you for saying that. Let me swing the cameras round. I'm trying to make it sound really fantastic. Hi.
Hi.
Like I've got some sort of gimbal here which has cameras rotating around and so on. Basically, I just press a couple of buttons. Right, what I'm going to do is grab the ambition calling card that I've scribed on your behalf and plant it here on the wall of ambitions. Now, there's something metaphorical and symbolic about doing this, because what happens in the real world is we just allow people to browse these things. We've had in the past some fantastic people who've reached out and said, they're in charge of people at, Michelle in charge of people at St. Christopher's Care Home, and they just wanted to invite people to write to their residents and stuff like that. And the intention is that people just read these. And it's important that people read these at their own pace, because really what this is a slow conversation. It's an opportunity to not have me talk at you, but really to somehow replicate the chance for you to browse gently at Susie's ambition, some of the story behind it, as far as we can capture in this, and allow it to play in your mind as you think about the things that, or maybe you miss something about your real self or your former self, or you've hit a similar sort of point that Susie's sharing with us now, which is, I swear, really common. I've met a lot of people who've discussed it. So you might have some really lovely thoughts about how to bring yourself back to that authenticity, what it is that made the difference, and share it. And not just with Susie, but anyone else who's watching who may well love to hear that. Not just the fact that we all modify ourselves to cope okay in this crazy world of ours, having to do things like be busy or earn money or do things that were expected of us, but also realize that somewhere in there we do need to be true to ourselves. And if you're unlucky, your body is making you. And Susie, you shared with us how in both the fibromyalgia and the experience of COVID, your body is making demands of you to slow down or to be at a different pace. And sometimes our bodies does that. Or sometimes you come to that realization before your body does that. So there, in that conversation, if you were so inspired, we would invite you to grab one of our many Post-its in a variety of colors, any one of our multicolored felt tips or pens or whatever, and just write a few notes down, a few words of encouragement, let Susie know, let us all know that we're not alone, that this is actually a surprisingly common need to basically try and be true to ourselves in what we're doing, to remind ourselves about that healthy thing. And also, as Susie has done herself, and thank you for doing so, recognize that there were a couple of areas of real joy in her past that would be really lovely to do again. The sailing, the Burmese culture, the food, the traveling and so on, the meeting people in that way. And you know, kind of make a few comments about how to safely open those connections again, how you might have done it, how you know others have done it, or maybe some introductions to people. There are formal people out there that, I mean, Susie shared with us, as many of us have, you know, sought professional help, like coaches, like therapists and so on. You may know some people who are doing some fantastic work that moves beyond that. What do you do after you've successfully healed up with your counselor or whatever, and so on, and making those kind of connections. This might speak to you, and maybe you want to go to Burma as well and like to have a little chat with Susie about, well, could we possibly, do we gel? Could we be travel companions? And so on. In which case, get in touch. The worst that can happen is that you don't hit it off, but there is a chance you can. And of course, Burma is calling for you guys. What can I say? What else can I add to that? Words of encouragement, tips and advice, direct contacts, people who actually know stuff. And of course, the fourth is like people who'd like to come along. Generally speaking, that's the types of comments that come in from the slow conversation. Susie, I've been deliberately talking about that, you know, just to give you a chance to mull over, generally in a nice, friendly way, hopefully, ruminate over it. And as you've been doing so, is there anything else that you might like to ask for or add to this ambition calling card?
No, I think you've captured it really well.
Well, yes.
I think the idea of perhaps meeting other people who may be interested in going to Burma would be absolutely fantastic. And, you know, I'm really up for making new friends and meeting new people. I'm quite happy to perhaps, once we're allowed to sort of socialise a little bit more, I'm quite happy to do a Burmese dinner party or whatever, because I still cook the food quite a lot. Even though I didn't cook in the restaurant, I did front of house. I taught my ex-husband all his mother's recipes because she taught me first. So I still cook the Burmese food quite a lot, and it's completely addictive and I love it. So
it sounds fantastic.
So that's, you know, something that I'd be quite happy to do, maybe even host some cookery sessions at some point. But I've got to get my house in order first, because
well, there may be people out there who would happily host you as a friend and visiting chef.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Who knows? A cultural exploration. In fact, what a fantastic idea.
Yeah. I had thought about hosting some Burmese supper clubs, but then the fibro hit, so I sort of had to put that on the back burner. So that's a good idea. I'd be really interested in that.
Cool. It makes me think, and we've had to do this here with Ambigo because we can't spend time with people in real life. We want to, but we're not allowed to. And so it really begs the question, how do you do a cook supper type club when you know you can't meet together? Is it you share out the same ingredients, you try and cook together and you sample the food together online? I don't know. I mean, you know.
That's something that I would need to look at. I think perhaps do some sort of Zoom or something like this, because I haven't used this platform before. I don't know if that's the right name for it, but yeah, I mean, I could give a recipe list in advance and encourage people to, you know, to buy the ingredients. And if they weren't sure where to get them from, I can give them some advice about that. That would be really great.
Wow, Julia has just sent in a message, which, thank you, Julia. Is there a group on Facebook that exists for Burmese culture, or why not set up a meetup group yourself? Or possibly team up with people. Someone who's watching this might be brilliant at these sorts of things, in which case Susie might be a fantastic asset. Unless, of course, you love making Facebook groups yourself, Susie, in which case...
I've never done that. So I'm not very techie, but
Oh, wow.
I think I might need some help with that.
Thank you again, Julia. Yes, apparently cook together groups do exist.
Oh, okay.
I suspect when you announce that you're going to be doing this, people might be queuing proverbially round the street, round the corners to join. Which brings me to, sorry, did I just talk over you there?
No, it's fine.
Which brings me to, with your permission, the part of the show where we have a lot of people joining us all the time, where it's really good if I let people know how they can contact us. But I don't do that. I normally bring my friend and colleague Adam in, who will appear any moment now. There he is, as if by magic. Adam, as normal for me, can I ask you, please, to let people know how they can get in touch with us here on the show?
Yes, there are 3 ways to do it. You can get in touch by simply leaving a message on Facebook. Just comment underneath the video and it will appear on our screens and we can share it just like we did with Julia's a moment ago. Or you can click on the link that accompanies this video and you'll be brought into this broadcast area and we'll be able to have a chat with you just like we are with Susie. Or if you like WhatsApp, send a message to the number that's at the bottom of your screen and we'll see it and we'll be able to read it out as well. So they're the 3 ways to get in touch. This has been a thoroughly nourishing conversation. I'm feeling very hungry, and I bet Janice is probably feeling the same as well. Hey, Janice?
I am, Susie. When I was travelling around Southeast Asia, I've been back now for 3 years. But I was in, I think it was Laos, and I was trying to think, where do I want to be for my 51st birthday? And I was travelling solo. I remembered that it hit me with your rhythm stick in the hills of Mandalay to the dock of Tiger Bay, all that. And I thought, oh no, I'm going to go to Burma, Myanmar it's called now, isn't it? So I went to Mandalay. And from that day to this, I'm absolutely in love with Burma. All things Burma, what I saw and experienced of Burma is it's such an amazing country. But the food, when you were talking about the food, I was just thinking, I love all the pickles and everything. Well, I came back from after 10 months and I was 2.5 stone lighter and I'd lost 9.5 inches off my waist. From eating partly very good food, all home cooked, all that lovely ingredients, But when I was listening to you, Susie, it was like you were me. I was you 4 years ago. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Every area was like a dry bone. And I'm one of those people, I'm always out and about and involved in stuff. But on a personal level, I just felt totally empty, all alone, totally lonely. So I had to go away to come back to appreciate and love where I live. And what I did was, because I couldn't, I kept trying to fit in everywhere, and I'm sure I did, but sometimes you just feel so alone, no matter where you are, at work, everywhere. You're just carrying it like a dark cloud around. So what I knew, right, Susie, is I had to do something about it. I was a gymnast, I was this, all those things you're talking about, but I'm not that anymore. I can't do county standard gymnastics or sprinting or anything anymore. But what I've got now is 54 years worth of life experience, which I put in a pot to end loneliness for other people, but also to end my own. And I had no idea what I was going to do. So just start. And all the conversations we've had tonight about confidence and getting over our fears, because every single one of us, we've been hurt, we've been excluded, we've self-isolated even before we had to because of all the things that happened to us. But we are where we are today. And now is our chance to reinvent a future which is completely different, And I think, Susie, starting that little group, online Facebook for the Burmese cooking. If you do that, you will completely change your life and other people around you, and you won't end up doing Burmese cooking. You'll end up doing all sorts of things because all you have to do is start. So I would really encourage you, just, don't climb up rigging when you're allowed out again. Just start a little Facebook group, and see how you get on. If there's only 1 or 2 people on there, it's not about having hundreds of people. It's about having the right people around you. And if you do it slowly, because in life it goes up and down, and sometimes we're in the mood, sometimes we're not. But if you go at your pace and not anyone else's, it'll really bear fruit. And I would be really interested in that as well. Thanks, Susie, for sharing tonight. You've done a really brave thing. I'm now on the other side of that, Susie. I'm 4 years down the line. But also the other thing is about loneliness is you think no one is listening. Well, guess what? Tonight, Susie, we're all listening.
Thank you. That's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Susie.
That's really inspirational. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is it Janice?
My name's Janice. Yes, I'm the owner or the founder of the Glam Club. We're actually catalysts and pioneers for change, and what we say is we're smashing the face, right in the face of loneliness, because when I was growing up, that was a threat, down in the playground. If you don't watch it, we're going to smash your face. So I just thought, well, if you don't watch it, loneliness, I'm coming to smash your face,
That's what I need to do. Fight back.
Oh my God. I didn't think we'd end up promoting violence against loneliness, but here we are.
And I'm really not that sort of person generally.
No. That's what the people in the playground used to say to us. I was like, ooh.
Susie, Julia has been on a scouting mission for you. So I'm just going to show this link, which in itself won't mean a thing to anybody. She is a star. And she's just explained that's a Brighton Burma group. So if you go to the Ambigo page, Susie, you'll see Julia's comment, and you'll be able to click on that link that she shared to get through to the Brighton Burma group. And that might be a place to start to try and find some people who'd be interested, perhaps in a cooking group or whatever it is you'd like to go on to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say in reaction to everything that's been said over the last 20 minutes or so, Susie?
No, I'd just like to say thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to take part, because although it's quite daunting, sometimes we've got to do these things and put ourselves out there and go into the sort of out of the comfort zone, if you know what I mean, and just try and make some changes. I feel quite emotional about it, so it's difficult to put it into words concisely right now. I'm sure I'll do that later. Yeah.
Well, please do keep in touch. We'd love to hear the progress as you go back on the upwards curve now.
I will do. Thank you very much for all your help.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Susie. Take care.
Take care. Cheers. Bye.
And thank you as well, Janice. We'll come back to you in a little bit. All right. Okay. So we've got another participant now. Let's go straight to Donald because he's been waiting very patiently. Good evening, Donald.
Evening.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for being there. Just to let everyone know a little secret, we've been messing Donald around because we've said we need you at this time, and then no, we need you at that time, and then here we are. So let's take a deep breath. And yes, we're in the right place now. Okay, so Donald, would you like to share with us what is your goal, your idea, your ambition that you've got at the moment?
Mostly, I feel like my goal is to do something artistic or like be someone unique, like developing my individual art hobby further in a good way.
Mm-hmm. And so tell us more about what you'd like to do with that.
Mostly, I will be into digital arting or doing photography more often, like doing it in particular style, like using unusual objects or using different people to do street model or landscape photography. I do a lot on occasion.
Okay. Tell me more about these unusual objects. What kind of things are you talking about?
Oh, let's see. I appear to have, I mean, just before I get them sent out tomorrow, this is one of the examples of collectible I use to do photo shoots. Like, yeah, just a second. Fucking fly, but yeah, I tend to do on digital camera and then get them transferred onto my phone. Like, let's see. Yep, this one from, let's see, London, Victoria last year in an art exhibition of Tate.
Oh, what, could you move it closer to the camera so we can have a look?
Yeah, just a second. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is, yeah, Spidey and Michelle, but then, yeah, London Tate Modern, and, yep, low lighting with a little bit of exciting arrangements.
Wow.
I tend to find the excitement in a location and then just go from there.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
So you want to do more of this, basically. What is it that people could help you with? What is it that people could help you with?
Mostly like, I'm currently gonna join a photography foundation course, and like, yeah, it's been tough with everyone getting results and everyone's fuming and moaning on what the exam boards are doing to everyone. They like, some get high degrees and dream come trues. I mean, for my friends, while some got unexpected low grades and forceful like foundation courses to the dream universities, which is tough. And we haven't got any replies from the grade appealing department, so this is a bit annoying to me for the whole day. Wow,
So
I also...
should we clarify what we're talking about here? So today, for people who don't know, it's A-level results day, right? So it's been a very big, important day. So tell us more about that. What's your experience been today?
My experience has been kind of unpredictable because I wait for the 8:30 email from school, but then it came at 7:51 a.m. when I checked the results. And let's see, first of all, the school sent us in a very typically odd email, like saying we have GCSE receipts or not, whatnot. And then we check it's like the A-level results, but they just said A-level format instead of GCSEs. And then otherwise, it would feel like it confuses. And then when we check the PDF, when I check the results, it's like, it's not as high as my teachers predicted me, so that's something I had to appeal, even though I can go on and do a photography degree in Brighton MET.
Is that what you'd like to do?
Yeah. If they, and now I just have to wait for their acceptance. So it's another challenge. Yeah.
And in terms of how other things that might help you to achieve your ultimate goal. So are we talking about this as a profession then? Is this what you'd like to do as a career?
Yeah, mostly photography or art, or maybe a little bit of designing along the way, like designing toy merch sort of things. Because I do collect a lot of stuff I see behind the shelf as an example, but yeah, designing a few would be another interesting thing for me to do, to develop my art skills along photography.
Okay, so how could people help you develop those skills?
Mostly through a little bit of mentoring or learn a few more art techniques or photographic techniques when I was in college before the pandemic and all that. That drove me away from many of my friends. You know, it's been really hard for most of us. Where our social bubbles are starting to shrink, I could see a few.
And right now, how are you feeling?
Yeah, right now it's just feeling nervous on whether the reappeals are successful, as well as the application to MET's website, which is a bit of a mess until my dad found a way to fix it like a couple weeks ago, and then I submitted the form, so now I gotta wait for them.
Wow, I really feel for you, Donald, because these are obviously really important decisions that are being made on their side and your side. And to have all of this confusion and uncertainty must not be easy at all.
Yeah, it's been very hard as well. I even have to sell a chunk of my collection to fund myself for other future purposes, as my parents advised me in a good way.
Okay, so what is it you have to sell? Is it the things that you made?
I just showed, for example, it can be things I made or things I collect as a entirety, and yeah, some sell out well and some do not, and the challenges, the audience always vary a lot. So that's the thing I see through Facebook and other social platforms.
Oh, brilliant. So is that something that you want to do more of?
Yes, most of the time.
Is somebody being
Developing
noisy in the background?
That's my sister, yeah.
Oh, she can come and say
she's not that type of girl, but yeah, I sometimes do crafts like this. I mean, yeah. This is the Pegasus from Sailor Moon series, and I just use a regular horse, the water knock from Frozen 2 to do a repaint and paper sculpt the wings to make it to the Pegasus. So like, sometimes I feel annoyed that every time if the knock comes up for sale, I would do a Pegasus more often. So yeah, turning something common into...
quite naive, Donald. So help me understand, like, you've made that? Is it using a 3D printer? Or
yes, I made that with mostly paint and, soft clay and paper to create a piece of art. Mostly I use clay to do it, so this is why it looks a lot more different than how an original item looks like. So I tend to turn something that is impossible to a possible piece of work.
That sounds like it could be your strapline for your future business.
Yeah. It's just sometimes the brand and communities don't show much appreciation to people who do, I mean, in crafting terms, they're called customs, as in your own creation sort of things. They hardly get opportunities for everyone to see.
Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to say to the people that are watching now and the people that will watch this in the next week or so regarding how they might be able to support you?
Yeah, mostly is when life brings you down, it's like we got to build our own confidence or keep trying on and to a successful point. Yep,
well, I echo that.
So
Andy's been writing down everything that you want to do, and it's an exciting, we've never heard an ambition before like this. So thank you so much for bringing it to us. Let's cross over to 5 now, and we'll see what Andy's got written down for you.
Yeah.
Hello, Donald.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. And thank you for coming on. It's really nice to hear from you. In short, your ambition is basically to be more artistic, and I love it. It's a great ambition.
Yeah.
As you know, at the moment, I am the disembodied voice that goes alongside my attempt to write up an ambition calling card on your behalf. So in this little part of the show, the event, what I would like to do is just check through with you what I've written to make sure that I've summarized it okay, that you can still see yourself in what I've written, and that we've captured the essence of that. Are you okay for me to do that?
Yes, it's okay.
Good. Right, well, I've written that you would like to do something artistic and unique. And this is this dream. You clearly have an artistic talent and a passion for it. And you want to take it forward. And I say, good on you, well done. Maybe expanding on the photography that you're already doing. And you showed us an example there that I've got to admit looked really exciting, even though we were looking at a small screen within a screen. And the way that I got things set up here, it's also in another screen. Never mind, that happens. Using objects and people and getting those sort of interesting combinations, compositions, I think is the word I'm looking for there.
Yes, in one way, it's like, it's like abstract photography, which I learned from my teachers in college.
Yes. Yes, and it looked it. You were bringing together some very interesting juxtapositions, lovely word that, bringing to unusual things in unusual combinations that sets up a visual thing that looked different and interesting in that difference. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun in your future. At least I hope so. Yeah, and the bigger goal, and I think it's a lovely one, is really maybe to become professionally an artist and or a photographer, do a little design on the way and so on. It doesn't really matter where you end up, so long as you get and enjoy that passion that you're clearly getting from doing artistic combinations and using the medium of photography and who knows what else. You also shared with us that you sadly, like many others, are caught in this horrible mess about graduations and qualifications and so on. So you are looking to join an Arts Foundation course, the photography course. In fact, you said, didn't you, that you are okay to do a photography degree? Is that what you said?
Yes, but that is just a little bit on the waiting side for the college to submit my entry, because yeah, it's been a messy morning. Everyone's A-levels, the grades, and then Google Drive being a bit of a mess for not letting me upload the photos properly as a mini portfolio for the school.
Understood. So there are
that was a bit tough this morning.
Yeah, so there's a couple of right at the moment frustrations going on, and you know, and it really, those are quite big and could overshadow your fantastic ambition, which comes to your request for help, which I've tried to summarize as really, I've noted down there's things about opportunities, mentoring and advice, in particular alongside the formal training. And I commend it to you. It's a good idea. Build those connections, widen your experience. You'll get fantastic advice and experience and so on when you finally get on the course, the degree that you're aiming for. In the meanwhile, widening that up, building the connections, that's a lovely thing to do. And in particular, that kind of enthusiasm, that kind of support that speaks straight to your passion whilst you're going through these hiccups, whilst you're going through the frustrations of not just the Google Drive, but the administrative educational processes that we have to go through at that time of life. It's important, and I think you're right to do this, to not let that part of it overshadow your passion, which is why it's a joy to be able to write down this ambition and help you put the word out there for, you know, well, let's pretend if the worst comes to the worst and you get delayed getting to the formal education, it's still getting that opportunity to experience, to talk with, to share practice, to see and to get to do more creative stuff yourself, which makes it a really lovely ambition.
Yeah.
So yes, Donald, you were saying?
Nothing. Yeah, you can continue. I'm just hearing what you're responding.
In which case, I'm going to swap cameras over because I'd like to take this and I'd like to plant it on. Hey, Donald, nice to see you.
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, and I'm going to take the ambition calling card and place it on the wall of ambitions.
Yeah.
There we go. And especially in the theme that we have tonight, which is about the, you know, kind of not focusing on being alone, but it's also focusing on doing things and maybe doing things together. And those people who share a passion in photography or creativity. And you're in the right city. Brighton and Hove is full of creative people, which again is one of the reasons why I like it down here. We've got various art courses and degree courses and so on that's feeding that community for sure. But there are a plethora of galleries out there, which is why it's a brilliant ambition to bring to our wall of ambitions and for us to share out there with our viewers. And talking to you, if you're watching this and you have the sort of connections, maybe you know some photographer gallery curators or who might be able to bring Donald in and, you know, attend some of the private viewings or stuff like that, meet some of the other photographers, give him a chance to have a chat with other creative people, same with artists and so on. That's some of the kind of type of connections that might emerge out of a request like this one. A few words of advice and so on, that's always useful, especially at the early career thing, or maybe around the creativity. You may know some fantastic things that would really gel very well with the tiny bit that you've seen from Donald. Or you might be able to provide a space where he can show more of his current creativity to be able to kind of open up that conversations with others and so on. How's that sounding to you, Donald? Would that be a useful thing?
Yeah, it is a useful thing. Well, it just reminded me of one thing. I recall every 2 years in Brighton, there's a biennial photography exhibition, but what will happen this year is a mystery still after the pandemic and such. It will also give me interesting idea, but what would there be artists showing photos around the pandemic, because I also did a few in black and white, luckily, so that gets a little experience. And
of course, you know,
from there.
Maybe there's opportunities for co-exhibiting, or maybe even co-exhibiting online. Donald, a few weeks ago we had some fantastic people from artist open houses who were talking just to the point of how can they continue to do galleries when we can't actually go into them. And they were saying that they were doing various types of online galleries and so on. So if you're watching and you can, you know, give more information to Donald about those sorts of things, give him access to not just being able to see the work that's going on, but enable him to have a nice, friendly conversation with the artists. That might be fantastic, because the mentoring there, the opportunities of opening up the creativity, I'm sure that would be really useful. What happens with this war, Donald, in case I haven't told you, and for the benefit of the people who've recently tuned in, is the Wall of Ambition normally goes out on journeys with us. We hang out on Kemp Town Carnival or over in Hangleton and Knoll, various places around the city, and we let people read. In fact, we invite people to just read these ambition calling cards and to read them slowly at their own pace, to have a slow conversation with you via your ambition calling card, via post-it notes and their own comments, which often come in like little words of encouragement, some tips and advice, actual contacts. We might have someone watching who is an artist, who has the sort of experience, maybe one of the tutors on the kind of courses who are a little bored at the moment because they can't get into the studios or whatever, who can get in touch and would be happy to just have some nice friendly chats with you. And of course, people who are also interested, who can share in that journey. And sometimes they come along with you, sometimes they share the kind of advice that goes with that. That's what this wall is about. Often we go out with lovely, delicious snacks provided by the local co-op. Thanks, guys. And we have some fantastic volunteers who I'm missing dearly, who will spend time just having a very friendly chat with people, allowing them to kind of put those sorts of things. Here, we're doing this on the internet. And if you are looking and you feel inspired about Donald's ambition, then, you know, we'll invite you to get in touch. Donald, before I ask my colleague to come back in and tell people how they can get in touch, as I've been talking about this, has anything else come up for you? Anything else that you think, yeah, I'd really like to mention here because it's important in this ambition, or actually, I'd really like to do this and it's something else I'd like to ask our fantastic viewers about?
Another good thing I take a love doing is not just what I said about using objects or people's photography, but also landscapes. So this is for the examples from the pandemic, how the whole street is silent compared to before everything was modern. It's just zooming in.
Have you got anywhere online where you are posting these images at all?
I have an Instagram page for photography, which is dmac2372_ seasonal photographer.
Is this what it looks like?
Yeah, you found it.
Well,
that's another piece of my craft, evil Buzz Lightyear from old cartoon series called Buzz Lightyear Star Command.
Good on you. That's brilliant. Thank you to Adam for putting that up. And that's brilliant. We'll get that link available. Well, in fact, here it is, so that people can have a look at these photos, the stuff that you've been doing as well. And I think Instagram is a fantastic medium for sharing those sorts of conversations. Thank you, Adam. That's brilliant. So, you know, keep going with that one as well. Okay, what I'd like to do then is to just ask my friend and colleague Adam to rearrange the screen magically and come and rejoin us in the conversation. Because, and you probably know I'm going to say this, Donald, I want to ask him, what are the best ways that people can get in touch with us?
I'm going to tell you the best ways and all the ways, all three of them. So if
Okay.
you're on Facebook, if you're one of the many silent people on Facebook this evening, then we do want to hear from you. We've got about 10 minutes left. So if you have any kind of ideas, any comments, any words of support for Donald or any of the previous participants, then we'd love to hear it. So literally just comment underneath this Facebook video on the Ambigo page, if that's where you're watching this. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can post a comment there. Or you can click on the link that you should see around the video somewhere, and you'll join us here in the broadcast yourself. We'll bring you in from backstage. Or you can send a message on WhatsApp. So the number's about to scroll across the bottom of your screen. And if you want to send us a message, then we'll pick it up and share it with Donald. I was wondering, Donald, if you just wanted to talk through a couple of the images on your Instagram there, so we can get a better idea of what was the motivation and what was the inspiration behind them. So I'm just about to share it again now. So here we are. So you mentioned something about cartoons. So these are influenced by Toy Story, right?
More than just Toy Story, multiple types of franchises, as well as my own type of style. And I start sharing a little more of my crafts lately, but just gonna find some good ideas on how to photo shoot something interesting. Yeah,
and
the
so
challenge of
available for professional services right now.
What was it? What's available?
So if a business, for example, thought, actually, this could be really useful for an advertising campaign we have or something like that, and they wanted to use your skills, would you say that you'd be interested in talking to them?
Yes, that I might be interested in. Yeah, it's something I'll be definitely interested in. So I also tend to take, current themes to do a photo shoot. As you see, the bottom left, that one of Little Grey Worm from Game of Thrones is referencing back to the world and about Black Lives Matter, which is an important movement. And how everyone should be treated fair and just and referencing back to the captain, he is a very strong leading captain of the soldiers called the Unsullied in Game of Thrones. It just brings a little bit of reflection. And the challenge is I woke up at 4 something in the morning, and then I was at around the seaside doing the photo around 5 a.m. catching the sunlight and the glimpse of a rise of a new person sort of feel. That
I love the narrative behind
I tend to
that.
also take very different artistic challenges like broad daylights or even the night skies. It's something I love doing on most occasions.
Cool. And this could be inspiring to you guys who are watching. If you fancy doing something, because you're a little stuck and unable to do something out there, then the kind of narratives, the kind of discussion, the kind of fun and play that Don is exhibiting here, it might be something you might like to do. Not that I'm preaching or anything, but it's ways that we kind of allow inspiration from other people's passions.
Absolutely. So I think it's time we brought in our loneliness champion for the evening, Janet, because she wanted to share a thought with you, Donald. So let's bring in Janet. Hello, Janet.
Hi, Donald. Really pleased to meet you. You introduced yourself by saying that you're really different and really unique. And I know that we all are, but you just blew me away. I love your way of thinking, and I really, really like the fact that you're tackling difficult subjects, but in a really different way. And what I would say to you is build a portfolio. You are so unique. You need to be your own brand. So I met someone called Aisha Shah. Look her up on YouTube. I met her at a Mark DeLissa singing group for the day. And she told me about her YouTube channel. She doesn't do any other forms of media. She just concentrated on the one, and she's got a huge following. Aisha Shah, her name is. And I think you'll really like her stuff. And you'd be
Yeah.
most welcome to do something at the Glamour Club on a voluntary basis, because what we're doing is trying to smash down the stereotypes around age and also what a lonely person looks like. So what does a lonely person look? They look like you, like me, like Adam, you know. So it'd be really interesting to see what's in your mind, using your creative skill set to bring something out. You know, so if you're interested in doing something like that, then please do get in touch with us, you know. But I think you need to be around. I think you're too big. You're too big in your own self. Build it up. And I think your portfolio, when you go to any university asking them to give you a place, they're going to be so blown away that you'll have lots of offers.
Yeah, I really count on the hopes of this type of opportunity. Yeah, life is very challenging on most points of time. I can even recall the last day before, the whole lockdown starts. I was like, it was the final day, and I was near the hospital near Brighton Marina doing abstract photography for my final A-level work. So it was fun. It was like making an ultimate showdown for the exam board, but yeah, we never get to submit. So I got a grade which is not what I wanted. So that has been a fueling complaint I have to do since 8 in the morning.
That's this sort of things happen to every single one of us. You know, we don't all sort of magic a great life and it's been easy. It's difficult for all of us, but it's particularly difficult when it's something that you wanted so badly and you didn't get. But it's that you didn't get it at that time, and there'd be a reason for that, because the skill set that you bring when you go to the table again will be far better than that.
Yeah, and I can echo that as well. You know, not a single person, professionally speaking, has ever asked me what I got in my A levels or how I did in my degree, even. But what shines through and what gets you to where you want to go, because ultimately, yes, you want to study what you want to study, but ultimately the goal is bigger than that, and you'll get there because of your talent and because of how unique you are. You know, that's like what Janice has been saying. So yeah, we've got full confidence in you. So we know you can make it to exactly where you want to go, and we can connect you as well to Janice if you'd like to take her up on the offer of perhaps doing some voluntary work around helping to identify loneliness in a really, really different way.
Yeah, another thing I can be noticeable sometimes is like I tend to be around Bernardo's Hove on Saturday morning, so that way some people can know me being around more often.
Oh, nice.
I volunteer in the one and only, Bernardo's now left in Brighton, so that is a bit of a challenge as a volunteer. And yeah, I get to gain a lot of experience meeting an older range of people, or even at the open market where I work with my boss. I tend to know a few customers and like get to remember them a little more often and know what they like.
Oh, that's really nice. Okay, it's a great place to be, the open market. So that sounds fun. Just want to share a last comment from Julia. So she's put this link here, and you'll find this link on the Ambigo page.
I just photographed it now.
It's the Brighton Photography Group. So she was just wanting to let you know about the Brighton Photography Group on Facebook, if you weren't aware of that already.
That helps. I'm gonna enter later, maybe.
Brilliant. Thank you, Julia. You've been prolific this evening, and we really appreciate all your input. And thank you to Janice as well for coming on with so much positivity as well as the glamour. So we really appreciate that as well. Donald, is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Yeah, to the new youthful artists, in the new generations, find your own passion and make it your own self in a unique way. Develop your own talents and don't let time slip away, because time never bought another it's like money can never buy another second in time. which is a big thing.
That's absolutely right. What a perfect way to end our event this evening. Thank you so much, Donald, and thank you as well to Janice for being with us this evening as our champion of loneliness. Thank you. And
Thank you very much. It's been brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed.
Oops, sorry, Janice. I just accidentally cut you off too soon.
Bring her back. Janice, this is terrible. There you go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Whoops. I'm gonna say, Janet, I love your fascinator, and I love the kind of little rose thing you have. It's fantastic. What can I say? You're doing us proud.
My mum's. I borrowed it.
Ah, yes. Sorry, Adam, I talked over you, sir. You were saying.
Well, all that's left to say is we have really enjoyed putting this event together. There's been so much interest in the topic of loneliness that we may well do it again next week, next Friday. We'll be back to Friday evenings, which is when we like to do these. Same time though, 6:30 till 8:30. We've already had somebody this evening who's been watching who said, I can't actually come on this evening, but I hope you do this again. So Stuart, if you are still watching, then perhaps we'll get you on next week. That'd be nice. Along with the couple of participants who were supposed to be on this evening but had to drop out at the last moment, which was unfortunate. But let's get them all together, and we'll do it all over again next week and have some more fun. Thanks again, Janice. You've really helped brighten people's day. And yeah, if anybody out there as well wants to partner with us on an event, then we're very open to exploring that. So we've done lots of events with different community groups and different charities in Brighton and Hove. So if you fit under that umbrella, or whoever you are really, if you run an organisation or you're part of an organisation, you want to see if this might be useful to have a participant group that is based on your members or your beneficiaries or clients, then let's have a chat. And what you can do is get in touch by email. So you can send a message to hello@ambigo.co.uk, and I'll just make that appear on the screen in a moment. Or you can send us a message on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching this. You can get hold of us, and we'll explore it, and it'll be a lot of fun to see what we can do going forwards to bring more people together to exchange support for their goals, ideas, and ambitions. Okay, anything left to say, people?
No, not from me, Janice.
The evening, and it's been absolutely fantastic. I have thoroughly enjoyed listening to all the participants. Yeah, very brave.
And really diverse as well, really different ambitions, and that's been a joy to be able to bring a platform to this evening. So we'll see you next week, everybody. 6:30, Friday. We'll see you then.
See you then.
Bye.